Hi, everybody. I am Marty. I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous since February the 8th of 1976. I have no earthly idea how they figured that I would go first when the other two are better looking and smarter than I am. But I'm going to be the one that starts off. So uh, it's just great to see all of you. I love how electronically adept you are. I mean, you are given it. That's very exciting. So when I got here in 1976, no computers, no cell phones. Number one song, Hotel California. Right? You can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave. I don't know why that resonated so well for an alcoholic in the mundane, repetitious business of drinking. But that's kind of that's where I was in 1976, 23 years old. I walked into the room of Alcoholics Anonymous, and what I saw was a group of people, average age, dead. I mean, old. Uh, some of them were in their 30s. I'm not kidding you. They were 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds. Alcoholics Anonymous, the thing I share with my two birthday celebrants this week is that, back in 1976, when Reggie and Debbie and I arrived here, Alcoholics Anonymous was only 41 years old. There were no 50-year-olds. In fact, the oldest guy I could find was 31 years old. His name was Jeff, and he was they used to say he'd sobered up the day after the Earth's crust cooled. An amazing little man. But, again, old. And I kind of felt sorry for them. I thought these poor old guys and gals, they got to get together and drink coffee. And I was just kind of wishing that God would let somebody take the bunch of them out back and put them to sleep or something. I mean, I, I had no identification with, no wish. In the book that the carpenter wrote, the manufacturer's handbook, I was just reading something the other day, and it said that this creator said, I'm going to embarrass the people that are ignoring me, and I'm going to come to a bunch of people that aren't even seeking me. And I thought, whoa, this guy knew about AA 2,000 years before we got here, because most of us did not come here seeking God. I know I didn't. And in 1976, at 23 years old, I thought I was a radio broadcaster, television broadcaster, and I thought my big problem was I hate the way I sound. I hate the way I look. I hate the way you look. I hate the way you sound. I was not, I'm not a happy camper. The guy I drank with, um, I got drunk one night and threw him through the Royal Bank of Canada window, right, right through the window. And this is the same guy that when I joined Alcoholics Anonymous, he said, "Well, I guess we can't be friends anymore. I don't associate with people that don't drink whiskey." Isn't that something? And he was the best man at my wedding prior to that, and a close friend. And we never, ever spoke again. That's the power that the disease, the mental disease of alcoholism has on a person like that, an insidious spiritual melody. Alcohol, I know, comes in bottles, but the insanity, the insidious spiritual break, that inability to connect. Unless I'm drinking, I couldn't connect. And I've learned in Alcoholics Anonymous from you that everything about connection is from the higher power, and anything that's happening to me around separation is coming from usually self. Self wants to separate. Self wants to rule. Self wants to. It's this little. I call it now my identity. My brand. This idiot that's in the left hand side of my head that wants to talk to me all the time. So over the last 50 years, I've been trying to turn that thing down and turn you and the God messages up, and to understand that this is not a quit drinking and live happily ever after program. This is a quit drinking, and no matter how high the crap comes up around your eyeballs, you're going to be just fine. You'll be able to handle things you can't even imagine. And looking back on 50 years, guys, I mean, I have had some real highs and some real lows. And I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, like I told you, at 23. by 25, I had left the business I was in and had gone into publishing. And by the time I was in my probably late 20s, early 30s, I had money, I had power, I had prestige, I had no need for any God of anything. I didn't leave Alcoholics Anonymous because they told me basically what I heard them say was that if you stop going to meetings, you get drunk. I had abandoned any idea of a spiritual awakening in favor of a financial restoration. And I want to tell you something. The worst thing that can happen to you in Alcoholics Anonymous when you're new is that you get everything you're asking for. And the reason for that is that when you get it, it's not enough. It's not the right kind. It's just never okay. I have an addiction to alcohol. I have a body that can't tolerate alcohol, and I have addiction to more. I am addicted to want. Doesn't matter, gambling, girls, I don't care what you want to talk about. That's the problem that haunts me 24/7 when I'm sober. And when they say, what we were like, I always think of the Australian dung beetle. This thing, from the time it's born, lives in manure, and it just pushes that poop until it gets into a great big ball. And when the ball is so big it can't push it anymore, it drills a hole in the middle of that ball, and that's where it lives for the rest of its life. Not only that, you try and get it out of that ball, it will fight you. So that pretty much describes what I was like. And what happened was that in this just insane way, my sister phoned Alcoholics Anonymous, and they sent a Norwegian troll, this massive guy. His name was Dwayne. He sponsored me probably for 5 or 6 years before I found out his true identity, Shrek. He terrified me, and he told me, he said, if you drink, I'm going to break every bone in your body. And I said, like, why do you think you can talk to me like that? And he said, because I love you. So anyway, and I also told him, I said, I don't even like you. And he said, isn't that interesting? Because I honestly really love you, and I don't care what you think. So that's how I came into Alcoholics Anonymous. 1976, step 1, get in the car. Step 2, shut up. Nobody cares what you think. And then they briefly kind of brushed over the steps. I know my birthday party people today will do a much better job of describing this program of Alcoholics Anonymous. But I loved what Bill said when he said, this is Alcoholics Anonymous, he said, after all, is not a personal success story. He said, what it is the story of our colossal human failure turned into the most wonderful kind of usefulness by the alchemy of God's grace. And again, I can't speak for you or anyone else, and I don't know what kind of a burden you're carrying in this room tonight. Maybe you're here going, oh my God, is that guy really still breathing? But yes, not only flourishing, I'm the kind of drunk that, after 30 or 40 years of sobriety, I had another baby. Yeah, I remember looking at the kid in the delivery room and thinking, what an order. I can't go through with it. But I had been at podiums, and many of you, I've met so many of you over the years, down in California and down in Texas, and I'm at every podium saying, oh, I wish I would have been a better father. I think I could have been a great father. You watch what you're saying at those podiums. God will make that possible for you. So we had this guy, his name is Luca. Luca's, got a scholarship to Berkeley. That, it's just stupid what happens to us. My adult children, I say this because some of you have children, and some of you are already worrying that you're going to carry that alcoholic gene to your kids. All of my kids, all of them, self-supporting through their own contributions. The oldest guy, who's 50 years old, has never had a drink of alcohol in his life. The new guy, the latest reproduction, he says, I am not going to drink. He's, got a couple of years of university under his belt. He has not drank. So don't worry about that. It not necessarily genetically is going to pass through you to the next generation. What is going to pass from you to those kids, and if you don't hear anything else from this party tonight, what they're going to hear is what you do. The program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I said to Donovan, the old guy, why did you choose not to drink? And he said, oh, well, you know when you used to bring those people out to the house for Thanksgiving and that? I said, yeah. He said, well, I talked to them, and by the time they were finished telling me their stories, I knew I was never going to drink. I was terrified to drink. So I thank you for that. I've got a daughter and I've got grandkids. I've had a life that has taken me all over the world. And now I'm a little old guy. I mean, I'm nothing now. I don't have a lot of money anymore. I don't have any power or prestige. And last night I walked into a room and I was just stunned. There was like 45 people that had gathered to wish me happy birthday. You know, somebody like me, a guy that wants to separate and be alone in my room so I can think about myself. That guy. All of these beautiful, crazy people. They were wearing clothes from 1970. One guy looked just like the university guy named Animal that used to protect me when I was drunk. I thought I'd walked I thought I was having a flashback, better living through chemistry. You know what that is. I'm just telling you, if you don't ever pray for what you deserve. I hope you never get what you deserve. I hope you get what God has given me. Love and mercy and friendships and bonds and the ability to have and maintain a relationship where at 50 years sober, I walk into a room of Alcoholics Anonymous and I don't see a bunch of people I don't want to be with. I honestly see, I'm looking through spiritual eyes. I see hope. I see talent. I see potential. I listen to them and I love them. And I was never able to do that when I first got here. So the ride gets better and better. And I'm going to finish up right now because I want to hear from the other two. And probably we're going to go Reggie next and then work our way up to the beautiful woman. That's generally how it is. But I want to say to my two fellow celebrants, I don't know how we got here, you guys. I don't know where the time went, but I do know that I am more grateful and more humble on what a complete act of grace this entire half a century has been than I have ever been in my entire life. Thank you all very much for letting me share.
Reggie A, alcoholic. And by the grace of God and the actions of Alcoholics Anonymous and sponsorship, I've been sober since the 8th of February, 1976. Thank you, Marty. Appreciate it. Wish you could have been here with us. We're going to talk about you later. They gave me 15 minutes, I believe, 14 minutes, 15 minutes. How do you condense 50 years? I'm 79 years old. Good luck. No, I gotta give the princess her time. Actually, she's the baby. I'm one of 5 children. I was born in Waterbury, Connecticut. All 5 of my parents' children knocked on the door of Alcoholics Anonymous. My youngest brother lasted 25 years before he died, but he died sober, and I'm still with you. If you're wondering how do you get 50 years, but besides the gentleman who's got 56, he knows how. But I found out don't drink and don't die, and you can make 52. Awesome. And this is a joy. This is a pleasure to be with my friend Debbie. But when I grew up scared, I didn't know I was scared. I just like to hit people. If you said something that I didn't like, I hit you. Well, there's a reason. I'm colorblind. I have dyslexic. I got everything that's not going right compared to the people I come in contact with. And I found a solution based on a doctor's opinion When my parents would have parties and they had little, leftover drinks, cigarette butts or not, I would sip that. Now that's the alcohol. I was getting just enough alcohol to keep me calm. As I grew older, I needed more, of course. I grew up in an Italian neighborhood. I became Italian. I just have a better tan. I would go to eat. They served wine to the kids. We got a little bit more wine. And I drank. And I went there. They thought I came to eat. I know I went for the wine. I didn't know it was the wine, but I knew that it was something that they had that I wanted. I love candy. What does candy end up being? Sugar. And the sugar makes the body feel good. Now, I learned all this once I got into AA because I didn't know. I just thought I was crazy. I joined the military in 1965. Coming here was homecoming for me in a way. We flew in from Nebraska. My wife is back there, Michelle, she celebrated 44 years on Wednesday. We've been married almost 47 years, and only because of the traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous, we've been married this long. But I'm a full-blown alcoholic when I went into the Air Force in 1965. I had a death wish. My friends went to college and I had 2 draft notices and we knew where I was going. I was destined to go to Vietnam. It was a controversial issue at the time, and I didn't go. I went to France. You send a drunk of my type to France? I eventually went to Vietnam 5 years later, and when I came home on emergency leave because I'm not a good person, I was not a good husband, and I found out that my wife was leaving me, and I was just about finishing my tour, and I came home. And I came home and we came into Travis Air Force Base. And I had come out of Vietnam in jungle fatigues. And I was going to Washington State to go see her and straighten this mess out. I was drunk, had been in Hawaii, and I got home. And when I hit the airport in San Francisco, which is a lot bigger than it was in 1973, a young lady had her child, and she snatched the child and moved the child away from me. Not because I'm an alcoholic. I'm a veteran coming home in jungle fatigues. And I just got drunk some more, just gave me another excuse. And I ended up going to straighten out and see my family. What happened to me? I've been confused all my life. And I found liquid courage. Nobody talked about Alcoholics Anonymous and the people I hung around with. I went to the Netherlands, the drug capital of the world, Amsterdam, and I couldn't stay sober long enough to go 45 miles up the road to get some drugs. So there's no drugs in my story. That's the only reason. Because if it was in a candy jar with everything else I would get, I drank. I'm a mad dog drinker, but to impress you, I drink Chivas Regal Scotch. Yesterday, 50 years ago, somewhere between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, on a military base in Saragossa, Spain, I left a half a glass of Chivas Regal Scotch on the bar. Anybody with any sense doesn't leave a half a glass of Chivas Regal Scotch on the bar. Mad Dog? Yeah. But not Chivas Regal Scotch. That was my surrender. How did I get to that point? I don't know. I don't know. I know my mother used to pray for me. Maybe that was it. How many parents prayed for us, alcoholics? And some of our parents never got to see the answer. See, because we measure everything by time, 24 hours on a watch, which is made by man. We do not know what God's time is. And my time was the 7th of February, 1976. That was my first surrender. I did not drink on the 8th. I walked around a military base, not knowing where I was going. That Monday, which will be tomorrow, I went to dinner after working, and my roommate, I ordered a pitcher of sangria wine. And he said, I thought you said you don't want to drink anymore. And I said, I don't. He says, don't you understand? You can't drink for the rest of your life. He was a non-member of Alcoholics Anonymous. See, we got this one day at a time. Dad knew I wasn't going to deal with one day at a time. I needed to hear it hardcore, and he told me. My anonymity was broke before I knew I had one. I was known from the base that I was at, and the word went back to my home base, said, hey, Reggie's not drinking anymore. Because see, Black people, people of color, and the people I knew weren't talking about Alcoholics Anonymous. They looked at it as a white man's disease, and we don't get it. Mm-hmm. It's like my Cherokee grandmother told me, coffee makes you black. Somebody lied. And my anonymity had gotten broken, that I was now going to AA. I went to AA. We had one English-speaking meeting in Holland for a whole year. One. 4 GIs and 1 Dutchman. And one guy seemed to be assigned to me, and his job was to, every time he saw me, he said, Reggie, you don't have to drink today. That was his job. There's some other adventures that happen that most people don't have to go through. We do it in AA now, but back then, nobody was talking to me about it. Like read the big book. I read Living Sober. When I finally got a chance to read the big book, and I found this, and I had sponsors, but they handled me with kid gloves. Nobody said read the big book, so I didn't read it. I would go to meetings and they were talking, and I read, how it works, memorized it because I got dyslexia. I don't want you to laugh at me for mispronounced the word. And I went through time like that. When I looked at the big book, and I've been to big book studies and watched and listened, I didn't know who Mr. Brown is. Now, if you don't know who Mr. Brown is, I suggest you go in the big book and take a look and see who Mr. Brown is. There was no Mr. Brown in my life. So I didn't know what they were talking about. They had said Mr. Gugliotti, Mr. Mancini, I knew, but they didn't. And my last surrender happened on a January 12th. A gentleman spoke at a conference that we had, a local conference, and whatever he said messed up my head. I do not know what he said. I have listened to his tape many, many times. Don't know what happened. And I went to my sponsor's house that Sunday morning, again on a Sunday. And when I walked into his house, he knew something was wrong. I passed a liquor store that would have given me the comfort I needed. I was crazy. I got a wife who's young and in the United States, and we got married. We had a child. We're different religions. There's a lot of things we do not have in common. And I'm going crazy. I don't know that she had gone to AA 2 days before, 4 days before me. And when I went to my sponsor's house, he took me to his basement and he says, obviously you have done step 1, 2, 3. And he said, let's do a 4-step. And he wrote some subject titles on pieces of paper. And he said, you got 3 days to complete your fourth step. We will do a 5th step or I won't be sponsoring you. I'm just shy of 6 years. I am crazy, nuts, trying to sponsor people. There's a gentleman in the back room. He surprised me. He got snuck in here. The big guy stood up from Omaha. I even tried to sponsor him, and I didn't know what I was trying to do. I had just met him. He was young. who's one of the young people. To make this quick and short for the rest of what I have left, Alcoholics Anonymous has given me something I never had. It gave me a home. It gave me a job. It gave me a responsibility. We have a mission. Our mission is to carry the message to the suffering alcoholic. What is your message? I didn't have to drink today. With time, you get to have some more experiences and you can share. You can have one day and the person that you're talking to has none. And you say, what can I give to that person? What you can give to that person is bring him here so we can 12-step him. It's very simple, but we complicate it. We think we got to read all the books, get all the right things going in. No, my experience is not. I just did what you did. I followed you. I'm a thief by nature and by spirit. I steal things from people. If you have a good experience, I steal it. If it helps someone else, I use it. I don't have all the answers. The guys I sponsor go, man, where'd you get that one from? I got a Rolodex in my mind. It just goes, try this. And if they don't try it, we don't know if it'll work. If they try it and it works, we'll go, yep, that's one good one. I don't know what works. All I know is I want to help you not drink for the rest of your life. But one of the things that I always say is it's easy for men to get sober than it is for women. Why? See, I don't care where the depths we go as men. Someone introduces us to hot water like, this is a big tub. Yeah, look, I keep looking at that thing. That thing is scary. We take showers. We get a little foo-foo water. We pat ourselves up. We come in and we clean up a little bit. We're not even talking about a coat and tie. Just clean up a little bit. And you watch them strut in AA. They have arrived now. They don't tell you all their secrets. Young ladies, you go a long way away from the depths that we go to. Little showering and a little foo-foo water and all that doesn't help. And it's hard. But we try to keep the light on, make it a well-lit place. I sponsor a bunch of guys. Some of them are up on Zoom. The ones who didn't make it, we'll find out. And we'll have fun with that. My job is to help them and be a part of and do the right thing. I know I didn't go into depths on things. I've done all the steps, let you know. I have. I have about 20 men that if I ever run into, I will make amends to them. I owe them amends because in the military, I've been here 22 years and a half. I was sick and tired of the military and I retired. I knew I wasn't going to get promoted anymore. And I had a little music, portable cassette player. And I would take it to work. And every morning I played my favorite song. It's written by, sung by Johnny Paycheck. Take this job and shove it. I didn't know anything about the traditions yet that I could apply them in my life. And once my sponsor introduced me to the traditions and how I could live by them, I have a list. I've made 3 amends. I don't know where they're at. If one walked up to me here afterwards and say, Reg, I was in that room. Yeah, you were a jerk. I go, I owe you amends. I'm apologizing and I haven't done it again. I have no problem doing it. I live a comfortable life. I want to win the lottery. The problem with me winning the lottery, once I get it, it's not enough money. Because see, I want it all. Give me, give me, give me. And I've learned in Alcoholics Anonymous, I receive a gift when I give it away. I cannot keep what was so gratefully given to me. It makes no sense. We try to explain why it works. There's a power greater than ourselves, and it's not us. I am not the power. And once you understand that, if you're new in AA, you're not the power. You too can stay sober for a while. The other thing is get honest. I have a thing that I say to the guys that I sponsor, you know, you got to be honest with me, be honest with yourself, and be honest with whoever. If it's your wife, your girlfriend, or whoever, be honest. We tell a lie when the truth will set us free. That's our nature. We lie. You say, what color is it out? You know, is the sun out? Yeah, it's burning. We all say, nope. I'm asked to stop, so I get to introduce right now. I get to introduce the next person. You all know her, but she's the baby. I've been sober longer than her. You say, huh? How you do that? I've been sober longer than Debbie by 7 hours. It counts. I got sober in Spain. She got sober in South Dakota. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. I'm Debbie. I'm an alcoholic. And, you know, it's so interesting when we realized that I was the baby. It was just that great feeling because in some parts of the country, it's a custom that the newcomer gets the old timer their coffee. And okay, so I would have to get Reggie coffee. And it never felt demeaning. It never felt degrading. It felt a privilege to be in service to my elders. I want to thank the Love and Service Group for hosting this unicorn of a meeting. It'll be seeing a unicorn if you ever see 3 people with 50 years on that day celebrating. And so what a tribute to Alcoholics Anonymous. When I think about Bill, when he died, he was our longest sober person, and he had like 36 years and a month and some days. And I've thought back this morning about, could they ever have seen or imagined people existing and staying, you know, being sober 50 consecutive years, a day at a time? We didn't do it 50 years jumps at a time or year jumps, day jumps is what we do. And today for each of us is 18,263 one day at a time. That's as quickly as we do it. You know, every morning in my daily reflections book, I write the next day. And that's what I wrote this morning. And the reason I do that is because I remind myself I got to wake up, not come to, but wake up sober one more day. And I write that day because we do it at 24 hours at a time. But what I do today would be in service or whatever it is I've got on my calendar today. What I do today is what's going to help me get there tomorrow to write another day down. And this is the day that counts, really counts. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Reggie. To walk this path with you means a great deal to me. And when they talk about the path gets narrower, well, people die, people drink, things happen, people leave Alcoholics Anonymous, and here we are still on the path. I have not retired from Alcoholics Anonymous, have no intention of it, so watch out, I'm still in service here, and more to come. I can't wait to see what the next 50 years are going to look like, a day at a time. So but that's how I'm looking at that. I was thinking, what might somebody who's new, we had some brand new people here and they're looking at people who are 50 years and it's like, for God's sakes, get a life, you know, haven't you gotten it by now, right? You still have to read that book and come to meetings. Yeah, we get to do that. Do you remember your first drink? Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. And I just verified the date earlier today. It was a Friday, I think this is why my favorite day of the week, drunk or sober, is Friday. And it was April 10th, 1970. I was 12 years old. I remember that first drink. I was introduced to you, Alcoholics Anonymous, May 2nd. And I hadn't drank that day before, and I'm not sure why, but I hadn't. So my first sobriety date was May 1st, 1975. Introduced to you through a treatment program on May 2nd. I would go to an all-women's halfway house in Minneapolis. I would come to California. I would drink for a week and a half, got my next sobriety date, which was January 2nd, 1976. And then I went to that one meeting a week, which was a Sunday 6 o'clock meeting. And here I am 50 years later at a Sunday 6 o'clock meeting. 50 years ago was a Sunday. And so to come that full circle feels so electric. It really does. I've thought about I've had people ask me, so what did you learn this year? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one. I said, next question. What do you want to do next year? That I have an answer for. I want to continue developing and deepening and evolving my relationship with the higher power. That's what I want to do more and commit more of. And how do you do that? For me, yes, it's taking that time in the morning in prayer and meditation time, but also service. How do you stay enthusiastic for 50 years? Service. It's not a secret. It is the way to go. And service can look like all kinds of things. Just giving out of yourself, doing something out of yourself. Just welcoming people. A kind word. Showing where the bathroom is, where the literature is. Would you like to meet some of the other gals or some of the other guys? Just an act of kindness. Some years ago, I had an event, and the topic was, what made you come back to your second meeting? And are you doing that for some other people? Because obviously, if it worked for you to come back to your second meeting, it's worth continuing to do. It might be useful to other people. And probably 75, 80 people in their short time described the same thing in different words, different ways. It was an act of kindness, something we can all do, that little, maybe just that little tiny bit of effort to do that act of kindness. Some years ago, I was listening to the State Line speakers, and there was a description of a conversation going between a fellow who had maybe in his teens years of sobriety and a long timer, a man named Don P. from Colorado, who had been a past trustee for us and everything. And the younger guy said to him, so in your time, which was many, many years, what is the biggest change you've seen in Alcoholics Anonymous? And without a hesitation, his response was, the focus in AA used to be about recovery. Now it's on sobriety. Do you get what I mean by that? What if you don't? What I'm expressing is that let's make sure that we continue to give the best action of Alcoholics Anonymous we have, which is our 3 legacies. We have 3, not just one. We have 3 things to live by for me. All of these have their unique jewels and gems. I love our literature. I haven't had a need in 50 years to go to outside literature, but my literature, I enjoy our literature so much. Oftentimes we'll hear, well, if you can't sleep, just read the big book, which kind of implies it's so boring, it'll put you to sleep. I'd like to revise that a little bit. If you can't sleep, read the big book, because it will spiritually soothe you. Because it has for me. I feel the spirit of our founders, of those early members, of those pioneers who lived and died, and this is the result. Their experience got passed on from Ebby really was the little beginning ember to Bill, Bill to Bob, Bob to Minnie, and Minnie and you and I. I had that message shown to me, not told to me, but shown by the music of Alcoholics Anonymous, the heartbeat I feel here, the opportunity to walk amongst you, to just be one among many with you. Not a big deal. Today it might be a special day, but I'm just simply one among many. And I am that in the groups. I'm not a diva. In my head, I might be a diva, but and my husband treats me like a diva, which is good. But I just am, it is my great honor to be amongst you today and yesterday and the tomorrows of my life. If we take anything away, let's take away the action of this group's name, love and service in all that we do. And with that, I thank you for being here tonight. Thank you.